shadows of the past. The sleek black Aston Martin seemed almost offensive against the backdrop of Cedarwood Springs' modest main street. Nathan Cole adjusted his designer sunglasses, surveying the unchanged storefronts with a mixture of nostalgia and detachment. 12 years had transformed him from a determined college graduate with big dreams into a 34-year-old tech mogul worth billions, yet this small town remained frozen in time. "Mr. Cole, your grandmother's service begins in an hour," his assistant's voice crackled through the car's speaker system. "The lawyer would like to meet with you afterward regarding the estate." "Thanks." "Emma, cancel my calls for the rest of the day," Nathan replied, his voice carrying the polished edge acquired through countless boardroom battles. He hadn't planned on staying long, just the funeral, the obligatory reading of the will, perhaps a cursory visit to the lake house his grandmother had stubbornly refused to sell, despite his offers to relocate her to a luxury condo in Manhattan. The autumn air carried a crisp sweetness as Nathan stepped out of his car. Maple trees lining Main Street blazed with fiery reds and golds, a sharp contrast to the steel and glass forest he now called home. He walked toward Finnegan's Cafe, suddenly craving their signature apple cider, a comfort from another lifetime. The cafe's door jingled as he entered, the warm scent of cinnamon and coffee enveloping him. Only a few patrons occupied the tables, most focused on their conversations, until they noticed the stranger in their midst. Recognition dawned in their eyes. The prodigal son returned, the local boy who'd made headlines with his revolutionary AI applications. "Well, look what the wind blew in," came a familiar voice from behind the counter. Old Mr. Finnegan, somehow both exactly the same and impossibly older, grinned at him. "Nathan Cole, never thought I'd see you back here." Nathan forced a smile, stepping forward. "Just passing through, Mr. Finnegan. Could I get—" "Apple cider, extra cinnamon, no whip," the old man finished with a wink. "Some things never change." As Nathan waited for his order, the door jingled again. He didn't turn until he felt a peculiar stillness settle over the room, the kind that signals a moment of significance before it fully unfolds. "Thanks for the flyers, Charlie. The Cultural Center fundraiser is going to be amazing this year," said a melodic voice that sent electricity down Nathan's spine. He turned slowly, knowing exactly who he would see before his eyes confirmed it. Lily Harper stood just inside the doorway, her auburn hair shorter than he remembered, framing a face that had matured from pretty to breathtaking. Her green eyes widened slightly upon seeing him, one hand instinctively rising to her collarbone, where a delicate silver pendant, his gift from their one-year anniversary, still rested. "Nathan," she said simply, her voice neither welcoming nor cold. "Lily," he responded, surprised by the sudden tightness in his throat. "You look, well." Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. "I heard about your grandmother. I'm sorry for your loss." Around them, the cafe had grown conspicuously quiet. Patrons pretending not to eavesdrop on this reunion 12 years in the making. "Thank you. The service is today," Nathan replied, acutely aware of how formal they sounded, as though they were strangers instead of people who had once whispered promises of forever under starlit skies. Mr. Finnegan set down Nathan's cider with deliberate slowness. "Lily's running the Cultural Center now," he offered. "Turned this town's arts scene right around." "That's wonderful," Nathan said, genuinely impressed yet somehow unsurprised. Lily had always possessed remarkable vision, seeing beauty and potential where others saw limitations. It was one of the countless things he'd loved about her, before ambition and opportunity had pulled him away. "Just doing what I love," Lily shrugged, then checked her watch. "I should go. Take care, Nathan." As she turned to leave, Nathan called after her, driven by an impulse he couldn't name. "Lily, wait!" She paused, looking back with a question in her eyes. "Maybe we could catch up, after everything settles down with the funeral arrangements?" Something flickered across her expression, hesitation, curiosity, perhaps a shadow of the warmth they once shared. "The Cultural Center's open late on Thursdays," she finally said. "If you're still in town." With that, she was gone, leaving Nathan holding his cooling cider and the unexpected weight of memories he'd thought long buried beneath the foundation of the empire he'd built. ripples in still waters. Thursday arrived with surprising swiftness. Nathan had extended his stay at Cedarwood's only boutique hotel, telling himself it was to properly handle his grandmother's affairs. The lake house, now unexpectedly his according to the will, needed assessment before he could list it with a realtor. The Cedarwood Cultural Center occupied what had once been the town's abandoned textile mill. As Nathan approached the restored brick building, warm light spilled from its tall windows onto the cobblestone path. Inside, the industrial space had been transformed into an airy gallery with exposed beams and polished concrete floors. "We're about to close, but feel free to—" Lily looked up from the reception desk, her greeting faltering when she recognized him. "Oh, you came." "I said I would," Nathan replied, hands in his pockets. He gestured to the art-filled walls. "This is incredible, Lily. You did all this?" Pride momentarily softened her reserve. Not alone. The town rallied together. 4 years of fundraisers and volunteer weekends? She walked around the desk, wearing a simple blue dress that moved like water with her steps. The grand opening was 2 years ago. We showcase local artists, host classes for kids, community events. Nathan studied a vibrant landscape painting. "Is any of yours up?" A faint blush colored her cheeks. "A few pieces. In the back gallery." "I'd like to see them." Lily hesitated before nodding. "Let me lock up first." As she moved through her closing routine, Nathan noticed the easy confidence in her movements. This was her domain, built through passion and persistence. When they dated, she'd dreamed of attending art school in New York. A scholarship had been offered, he remembered. "You never left," he said abruptly as she returned. "The scholarship to Pratt Institute." Something flickered across her face. "Life happens. Mom got sick shortly after you left. Lymphoma." She gestured for him to follow her down a hallway. "She needed me here." "I'm sorry," Nathan said, genuinely contrite. "I didn't know." "You weren't exactly keeping in touch," Lily replied without bitterness, just stating fact. "She's in remission now." The back gallery was smaller, more intimate. Nathan immediately recognized Lily's style in the displayed paintings, vivid colors capturing ordinary moments with extraordinary perspective. One in particular caught his eye, a weathered dock extending into misty waters, a solitary figure at its edge. "The lake house," he murmured, recognizing his grandmother's property. "When did you paint this?" "Last summer." "Your grandmother commissioned it for her birthday." Lily stood beside him, arms crossed. "She was proud of you, you know. Always talking about her brilliant grandson changing the world." Nathan swallowed hard. "I should have visited more." "Why didn't you?" The question hung between them, weighted with years of silence. He sighed. "At first I was too busy building the company. Then I was too ashamed of how long it had been." His fingers traced the frame of her painting. "Success becomes its own momentum." Lily studied him. "Are you happy, Nathan?" The question caught him off guard. "I'm successful." "Not what I asked." Their eyes met, and something electric passed between them, recognition, perhaps, of the honesty they'd once shared. "Let's get dinner," Nathan suggested impulsively. "There's still that Italian place on Maple?" "Salvatore's?" "Yes." Her smile emerged, cautious but genuine. "They even updated the menu sometime around 2018. Very progressive." The restaurant was cozy, candlelit, and mercifully free of too many curious onlookers. Over pasta and wine, they cautiously rebuilt a connection, exchanging stories of the intervening years. Nathan described the exhilarating early days of his company, Cole AI, while Lily spoke of her mother's recovery and the challenges of transforming an abandoned mill into a thriving cultural center. "To stubborn dreams?" Nathan raised his glass as dessert arrived. Lily clinked her glass against his. "And unexpected reunions." Their fingers brushed as they reached for the shared tiramisu, and neither pulled away immediately. When her eyes met his, Nathan felt something long dormant stir to life, like spring's first whisper after an endless winter. Later, as he walked her to her car, moonlight silvered her hair. On impulse, he reached out, tucking a strand behind her ear. "I've missed this place more than I realized," he said softly. Lily's reply was barely audible. "Just this place?" Before he could answer, She rose on tiptoes and pressed a fleeting kiss to his cheek, then slipped into her car, leaving Nathan standing under the stars with the lingering warmth of her lips against his skin, and a growing certainty that his carefully constructed life would never be quite the same. The weight of success rain drummed steadily against the lake house windows, creating a soothing rhythm that Nathan hadn't realized he missed. 3 days had passed since dinner with Lily, 3 days of unexpected contentment as he tackled small repairs around his grandmother's property instead of immediately calling real estate agents. His phone vibrated insistently. 27 missed calls from his executive team, countless urgent emails about acquisition negotiations and quarterly projections. Nathan silenced it again, focusing instead on the leaky faucet he was repairing. The simplicity of the task brought surprising satisfaction. A knock at the door interrupted his work. He opened it to find Lily, raincoat glistening with droplets, holding a covered dish. "Neighborly welfare check," she explained with a smile. "Plus Mom's lasagna. She insisted once she heard you were staying here. You're getting soaked. Come in." Nathan stepped aside, suddenly conscious of his faded jeans and t-shirt. Lily surveyed the living room, noting the open toolbox and scattered repair supplies. "Playing handyman? Turns out I remember some things from shop class." He took the lasagna, their fingers brushing. "Thanks for this." "Mom would have delivered it herself, but she has book club." Lily removed her wet coat, revealing a soft green sweater that matched her eyes. "She's quite curious about the billionaire who once stole her daughter's heart." The phrase hung in the air between them. Nathan set the dish down and turned to face her fully. "I was an idiot," he said quietly. Lily's expression softened. "You were ambitious. We were young. I could have had both. Success and—" He gestured between them. "This. Could you?" She wandered to the window overlooking the lake, turbulent under the storm. "Your life is in New York, Nathan. Private jets, corporate acquisitions, galas. Mine is here. Maybe I needed to come back to realize what matters." He moved to stand beside her. "It's strange. I've achieved everything I set out to do, but lately it feels hollow." Lily turned to him. "The mighty Nathan Cole questioning the empire he built?" "The empire's fine. It's the emperor who's restless." His hand found hers, fingers intertwining naturally. "Show me your studio sometime? Your grandmother mentioned you converted the boathouse." Her eyes widened slightly. "You want to see my sanctuary?" "I want to see the world you've created while I was building mine." The rain intensified as they shared the lasagna by the fireplace. Nathan describing his latest project, AI systems for underfunded hospitals, while Lily sketched idly on a napkin, capturing his profile with a few deft strokes. Later, they braved the rain to dash across the property to the boathouse studio. Inside, Lily's creative space bloomed with color. Canvases in various stages of completion, brushes in mason jars, the comforting scent of paint and possibility. "It's not much, but it's mine," she said, watching his reaction carefully. Nathan moved through the space reverently. "It's everything, Lily. It's authentic." He stopped before an unfinished canvas, a man in silhouette against a brilliant sunrise, his posture suggesting someone at a crossroads. "Started this 3 days ago," she admitted. "After our dinner." Something unspoken passed between them. Nathan stepped closer, drawn by the magnetic pull that had always existed. "I've been thinking about you for 12 years, he confessed, voice low. Not constantly, but in quiet moments when success felt empty. Lily's breath caught. "Nathan, tell me you haven't thought about us, about what might have been." "Of course I have," she whispered. "But thinking about something and rebuilding it are different things." His hands framed her face gently. "Then let's start with this moment." The first touch of their lips was hesitant, a question. The second answered with certainty. 12 years dissolved as Lily's arms wound around his neck, Nathan's hands sliding to her waist, drawing her closer. The kiss deepened, igniting dormant embers into sudden flame. Paint-stained fingers tangled in his hair as they moved backward until Lily's hips met her workbench. Nathan lifted her onto it, their bodies pressing closer, heartbeats accelerating in tandem. Her soft gasp when his lips found her neck was the sweetest sound he'd ever heard. "I've missed you," he breathed against her skin. "More than I allowed myself to admit." Outside, thunder rumbled as the storm intensified, matching the growing urgency between them. Lily's sweater slipped from one shoulder, revealing skin like porcelain in the studio's warm light. Nathan traced its contours reverently, rediscovering her with artist's appreciation. "Stay with me tonight," Lily whispered against his lips. "No promises beyond dawn, just tonight." As rain lashed the windows and thunder shook the heavens, they found themselves creating something new from the ashes of what once was. Something neither had anticipated when Nathan's sleek car first rolled back into Cedarwood Springs. Crossroads and choices. Morning light filtered through the boathouse windows, casting golden patterns across the makeshift bed they'd created from cushions and spare blankets. Nathan watched Lily sleep, memorizing the peaceful curve of her lips, the splash of freckles across her nose that had multiplied since their youth. His phone vibrated again, the fourth time in 20 minutes. With a sigh, he carefully extricated himself and stepped outside to answer. "This better be critical, Marcus," he answered quietly. His CFO's voice crackled with tension. "The Singapore investors are backing out. They're concerned about the security breach rumors. Bloomberg is running a story tomorrow. We need you back in New York. Today." Nathan pinched the bridge of his nose. "What does legal say?" "That's the thing. The source might be internal. We need damage control from the top." The peaceful spell of Cedarwood shattered as reality reasserted itself. "Book the jet. I'll be at the regional airport by noon." When he re-entered the studio, Lily was awake, wrapped in a blanket, sketching something in quick, decisive strokes. She looked up, her expression shifting as she read his face. "Let me guess," she said softly. "Real world calling?" Nathan sat beside her, taking her hand. "Company crisis. I have to go back." She nodded, unsurprised yet unable to hide her disappointment. "I knew this bubble wouldn't last." "Lily, this isn't—" He struggled to find the right words. "Last night wasn't nostalgia or convenience, wasn't it?" She set aside her sketchbook. "We fell back into each other because it was easy, familiar. But your life is there, and mine is here. It doesn't have to be that way." The words escaped before he could analyze them, surprising himself with their sincerity. Lily stood, wrapping the blanket tighter. "What are you saying exactly?" Nathan followed, reaching for her. "I'm saying I've built something impressive in New York, but I forgot why I wanted success in the first place, to create a life worth living, with people worth loving." "People change, Nathan. I'm not the same girl you left behind." "You're better," he said fiercely. "Stronger, more certain of who you are. I'm the one who lost my way." Her eyes searched his. "And now? You'll rush back to New York, put out this fire, and then what?" "I don't know," he admitted honestly. "But I know I don't want another 12 years to pass before I see you again." Lily's phone chimed. The cultural center needed her for an emergency with a leaking roof. Reality intruded from all sides. "Go save your company," she said, pressing a gentle kiss to his cheek. "I need to save my gallery from flooding. Real life awaits us both." They parted with tentative promises to call, the magic of the night giving way to the practical light of day. Nathan packed quickly at the lake house, his thoughts a jumbled mess of corporate strategy and Lily's smile. As his driver navigated toward the regional airport, Nathan's phone rang continuously. Market analysts, board members, his executive team, all demanding his attention, his decisions, his presence. Between calls, he found himself staring at the passing landscape, at the small-town life he'd once been so eager to escape. The private jet waited on the tarmac, sleek and imposing. As Nathan prepared to board, a text message appeared. "Whatever you decide, know that last night meant something. It always did with us." The simple message stopped him in his tracks. In that moment, the weight of his choices, past and present, pressed down upon him. The waiting jet represented everything he'd worked for. Power, influence, wealth beyond imagination. But for what purpose? To what end? Nathan stood on the precipice between two worlds, the empire he'd built and the connection he'd rediscovered. The flight attendant gestured expectantly toward the stairs. "Mr. Cole?" "We're cleared for takeoff." His grip tightened on his phone, Lily's message illuminating the screen. 12 years ago, he'd chosen ambition without hesitation. Now, older and perhaps wiser, he faced the same choice with new perspective. "Mr. Cole?" "Sir, we need to depart." Nathan took a deep breath, suddenly crystal clear about what truly mattered and what he needed to do next. Full circle, the Cedarwood Cultural Center buzzed with activity. The annual Autumn Arts Festival had drawn visitors from neighboring counties, filling the galleries with appreciative murmurs and the occasional burst of delighted laughter from the children's workshop area. Lily moved through the crowd, addressing last-minute details with practiced efficiency. "Ms. Harper?" A teenage volunteer approached. "There's a delivery for you at the front desk." Frowning slightly, she wasn't expecting anything, Lily made her way to reception. A simple white envelope awaited her, her name written in a familiar, strong hand. Inside was a note card with an address and a time, 8 p.m. "Come alone." The address belonged to her boathouse studio. At precisely 8 o'clock, Lily approached the boathouse, surprised to see warm light glowing from within. She hesitated at the door, heart racing with uncertainty and something dangerously like hope. When she entered, she froze in astonishment. The space had been transformed. Dozens of candles illuminated the room, casting a golden glow over her paintings, which had been rearranged in a deliberate sequence. In the center stood Nathan, dressed simply in jeans and a blue button-down, watching her reaction with nervous anticipation. "What is this?" she breathed, taking in the scene. "A gallery showing," Nathan replied, stepping toward her, "featuring the journey of an extraordinary artist and the man who almost lost her twice." He guided her through the display, her earliest works from high school, photographs of her college scholarship acceptance letter, news clippings about the cultural center's opening, and finally, her most recent paintings, including the unfinished canvas of the man at sunrise. At the end of this timeline stood an easel covered with a cloth. 3 weeks ago, I flew back to New York convinced I could somehow balance both worlds, Nathan said softly. I walked into my office, looked around at everything I'd built, and realized something was still missing. Lily's voice trembled slightly. Your company, The Crisis, handled, he assured her. Marcus makes an excellent CEO. Turns out I trained him well. Her eyes widened. You stepped down? Stepped aside, he corrected. I'm still on the board, still involved with the innovation I love. But I realized I don't need to run everything to find fulfillment. He took her hands in his. The Singapore investors actually responded better to Marcus anyway. I don't understand what you're saying, Lily whispered, though hope bloomed in her chest. Nathan removed the cloth from the easel, revealing architectural plans. This is what I'm saying. A technology innovation center right here in Cedarwood, creating jobs, educational opportunities, growth, but without destroying what makes this place special. Lily studied the plans, recognizing the property, the old timber mill at the edge of town. Abandoned for decades, you bought the mill and the surrounding 50 acres. Nathan watched her carefully. The main facility will focus on sustainable technology, but there's also space for an expanded cultural education wing, artist residencies, community programs. Overwhelmed, Lily stepped back. Why would you do this? Because I finally understand what success actually means. He moved closer, his gaze never leaving hers. I spent 12 years chasing achievements, acquiring wealth, building a legacy, only to discover that legacy means nothing without someone to share it with. He reached into his pocket and withdrew a small black box. Lily's breath caught. I'm not proposing, not yet, he clarified with a nervous smile. That would be rushing things even for us. But this, he opened the box, revealing a delicate silver key, is a promise. A key? To the lake house. I'm not selling it. I'm keeping it, restoring it, making it home. His voice deepened with emotion. I've opened an office in Burlington, close enough for business when needed, but home will be here. If you'll have me back in your life, I'd like to see where this could go. The right way this time. Lily took the key, its weight solid and real in her palm. You're staying? I'm staying. Nathan cupped her face gently. The empire will survive without its emperor. And the emperor has discovered he prefers being simply Nathan, the man who loves an extraordinary artist named Lily Harper. Tears glistened in Lily's eyes. You're insane. You've upended your entire life in 3 weeks. I've reclaimed it, he corrected, drawing her closer. Some might call it insanity. I call it clarity. Under the glow of candlelight, surrounded by the visual timeline of their separate journeys that had somehow led back to each other, Lily and Nathan sealed their new beginning with a kiss that held the weight of the past and the promise of tomorrow. Later that night, as they stood on the lake house dock under a canopy of stars, Lily nestled against Nathan's chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heart. You know, she murmured, the cultural center could use a technology education program for the kids who dream of changing the world but don't want to leave home to do it. Nathan's arms tightened around her. Sounds like a perfect partnership to me. As moonlight silvered the lake's surface, they remained entwined, two people who had traveled different paths only to discover that sometimes the greatest journey is the one that brings you home, to yourself, and to the love that had been waiting all along. The unfinished painting in Lily's studio would eventually be completed. A man no longer in silhouette, but fully illuminated by the rising sun, his hand extended toward the light, no longer at a crossroads but firmly set upon his chosen path. And beside him, rendered in vibrant color, the artist who had helped him find his way back to what truly mattered.